People are cheap. People like cheap controllers like the BSP D9, the BSP D6-7, the BSP D10 that has a rattle now because I don't know why, it just sounds cheap and has a rattle, or the BSP D8 that I liked at a time but don't really care for it that much. Why am I saying this? Well, because people, again, are cheap. People like cheap stuff. People like cheap stuff that works. People like cheap stuff that doesn't break, like this thing right here. Not saying that the controller I'm about to show you guys is not going to break, but I've been using this new controller by GameSir that is cheap, but also very, very good quality for what you get out of this controller. So today, I'm going to share with you this awesome freaking controller. I say frickin' because I can't swear on YouTube. Well, I think I can, but I don't really want to. As I toss all of my controllers back in the bucket, this is the Galileo G8 Zero. Okay, I'm just kidding. This is the GameSir X5 Lite, cheaper gaming controller by GameSir. This controller is really good. It feels really good in the hands. Like, I have a little bit of bigger hands, and it honestly rests in my hands nicely. Has a nice bump on the back, nice grips on the back that have like this kind of, you know, texture to it. Has the GameSir logo, and it has a different design. I've never seen a controller like this that has the actual back bridge of the controller on the bottom, and I think their idea might have been for the camera. I don't know. However, with most of my phones, my camera is on this side, so my camera rests like this on most of my devices. Like, I have a couple other devices that I tested this with, and it rests down there. Now, I also have thumb caps on top of my actual controller right now because I like these. These are okay. They're a little bit smaller, but these thumb caps, these are for the Nintendo Switch, and they rest over top of this really nicely. Now, another thing that I also added to this controller, which I ended up making a note to the actual company, is that I put these little elastic bands inside on the joysticks. These little elastic bands, if you take them off, the joysticks do have some noise to them. So if I flick this back and forth, it's kind of noisy, but if I have the elastic bands on them, you can't hear anything. And that's why I put these on there. I'll put affiliate links for these. You can buy these on Amazon, or you can buy a whole bundle of them on AliExpress if you want to. But I add these joysticks to, or these elastic bands to a lot of my joysticks on a lot of my controllers. And again, you can buy these little caps, and they will make the experience a little bit better as well. Like, I played with this thing for 2.5 hours the one day on Minecraft Java Edition, and it worked out great. The other thing is, it's very, very easy and straightforward to understand the manual when you're actually setting it up. It has 2 different modes, well, 3 different modes total, but it has 2 different main modes. You basically just plug it in, and it'll start working and ask you if you want to, you know, open up the GameSir app if you have it. Now, I only have the GameSir app because I was messing around with settings, but honestly, all you have to do is press these 2 buttons right here, and it'll change into a switch mode. So Nintendo Switch mode, so basically the A, B, X, and Y buttons are going to be in different locations. So this is what I mean about it just popping up on the screen for Java Minecraft. I can just set my buttons, and you can change your button locations and stuff as well. So if you are used to the A, B, X, and Y, like Nintendo layout for the actual A, B, X, and Y buttons, whoops, I pressed the wrong button there, then you can actually switch those. So right now, this is set to the switch mode, and my A, B, X, and Y buttons are backwards in a sense. But if I go like this, hold down the D-pad and press A, if I hold down the mode button and press A, it'll light up and it'll show that I've changed the button layout. So now if I press the B button, that's my A button, and if I press the A button, that's my B button. But I like it to be set to the A, B, X, and Y button for the Xbox style. And now if I press B, it's B, and A is A. I know that was probably a little bit confusing, but it's pretty straightforward. You can also double tap the M button really fast, and it'll take a screenshot usually. Now, I don't know if it's because of, here, let me go back into a game. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it likes it in that mode. I think that only works in the Xbox mode if I remember correctly. So if I go back into Xbox mode, there we go. So if I'm in Xbox mode, which is basically just the Android mode or whatever, then it allows me to double tap the M button to actually take a screenshot, which is actually really cool. Now the GameSir logo button, if you press it, it'll open up your menu if you have a menu or whatever. So on this device, because this is the Red Magic 10 Pro, it opens up my Game Hub menu or whatever. That's pretty awesome, because then I don't have to swipe my screen or ever touch my screen unless I'm, you know, configuring the settings and stuff. But that is pretty freaking cool. And again, it's USB-C, so it's basically powered off your actual device, and it does have USB charging pass-through. Now, I think it's only up to like 20 watts if I measured this correctly, and that means that you're not going to get the full potential of your charging. However, honestly, if you're playing games on this thing, like, it's very low power, it is going to not consume too much battery. And I honestly, like I said, I played 2.5 hours and my phone was down to like 60% battery after that using this controller. And I thought that was freaking awesome. I thought that was great, honestly. Now, again, this is something that is only $34.99 USD, $44.99 in Canada, and they will have other prices. I don't know what all the prices are for every country, but that is how much it is in USD, and I think $35 USD is very, very competitive, especially for a lower, cheaper kind of controller. But it's not really cheap in the sense of how it feels. The controller feels really good. It feels not cheaply made. The Hall effect joysticks that you have on this controller are amazing. They have a little bit of noise when you clack them against the plastic, but that takes like a 30-cent piece of plastic, basically an elastic band, to change that. And adding these thumbstick caps, that's not really necessary, but it also does help. And honestly, for the price, especially when you use my coupon code to get 10% off your order and my affiliate link, then you're just laughing. Like, this is better than any of the BSP lineups. I don't think you need a BSP controller anymore after buying this thing ever again, because this is probably GameSir's best, cheapest option. That's the big thing, is that a lot of people don't want to buy GameSir's $100, $150 controllers. Now, this is Canadian prices, by the way. The GameSir Galileo G8 Plus, one of my favorite controllers that's Bluetooth, that connects to multiple different devices, including the Nintendo Switch. Yes, it is like a $100 controller still, and it goes on sale every once in a while, but a lot of people don't want to spend that much money on a Bluetooth or a controller in general, because they're like, well, if I'm going to spend that much on a controller for that, I might as well just buy or use an Xbox controller and then an adapter, because I already have an Xbox or something, or a PS5 controller, or whatever the case may be. People don't want to do that, so they just decide, okay, I'm just going to use that instead for an like $10 adapter that you can buy, or you can even 3D print your own adapters for Xbox controllers. But this thing, very, very competitive in pricing, very competitive in quality. Like, it is a super awesome quality controller. The joysticks react the way that you would hope they would. The buttons, they are membrane buttons, so like the A, B, X, and Y button, they're very, very quiet and very soft. These aren't Hall effect triggers or anything, though. These are membrane triggers, but I don't mind that. I actually really don't mind membrane style triggers, but I'm also not playing racing games where you can change like the acceleration and all that kind of stuff. The D-pad, just a mediocre D-pad. It's got a membraney feel to it. It's very soft to the touch. I'm not playing Street Fighter, Bajanja, Hadoukens, Monacan, Nadoukens games. I don't even know. Like, I don't understand why people always are like, oh, I'm doing Hadoukens and Fadoukens and whatever for Street Fighter. I don't care about Street Fighter. I haven't cared about Street Fighter since Super Nintendo, so I don't know why. Maybe you care about Street Fighter. I'm sorry. It's not like I don't care about you about caring about Street Fighter. I just don't care about Street Fighter, and that's not something that I'm going after when I'm trying to look for a controller. I'm going for a controller that's going to play Modern Warfare. It's going to play, or not Modern Warfare, Warzone. It's going to play Minecraft. It's going to play games with touch. Yes, you can use like the G-Touch control feature inside of the actual GameSir app. There's a GameSir app you can download and actually set up things with. Now, the one problem that this controller has that it lacks, unfortunately, is the ability to have that driver support for Bluetooth for games like COD Mobile. And COD Mobile is literally the only game that I've ever had this issue with, and that I only tested this with. I don't know if there's any other games out there that use this, but with COD Mobile, you have to use like a certain driver, which is the DS4 mode, inside of the controller to actually be able to play COD Mobile. It's so freaking weird. And those BSP controllers, those are the only ones that have it, but those are also Bluetooth and you have to keep them charged. So this controller is USB-C. You plug it in, it just works. And also the other cool features that they did with this controller is they added also the ability to give yourself different levels of grip on the inside. So these actually pull out very nicely and easily, I might add. And if you have like a thicker case or a thicker phone case, you can also pull this one out as well. This pulls out. That is one feature that I've asked the community or the company to like take note of, because maybe you have an OtterBox. This USB-C dingles back and forth. I don't know what kind of terminology that is, and you can plug in your controller and it sits in there so nicely. It fits in there nicely, it fits just great, and then I can just continue playing my game. Now, again, like that is another feature that we've been asking for in the community for these kind of controllers, because some people, like I said, they do have OtterBoxes. I don't know if an OtterBox will fit in this. It's still pretty thick right here with this case. This is just like a regular Spigen style case for my phone. But honestly, having that ability to change things like this is really awesome and very, very important when it comes to controllers, I think. And they used to stick these in. They used to stick these in with double-sided tape. So now you can just pop them in and out, because they have like a push tab kind of feature right here where you just change the actual like dimensions, which is good for like smaller phones and phones without cases and stuff. But this works out pretty good even with a case on this phone. So if I just go like this, line it up properly, obviously it fits in there nicely, and then it just connects. And that's the other thing about Bluetooth sometimes is very not nice. It doesn't want to connect properly. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think you're gonna go jump over and grab this controller? I think you should. This thing is very, very cheap, not cheaply made, and it is perfect for gaming on the go. Yeah, $35 USD, $45 Canadian. I'm gonna buy the white one when it comes out, because it comes in white as well, or it's like a tan color white. Have a nice day. Bye bye.